This is Cronkite News.
Coming up, body cam footage just released shows the moments leading up to an in-custody death in Tucson, and the actions the police chief took surprised many. Plus, President Trump extended a freeze on green cards. We'll tell you why immigrant workers say this is a major blow to them and the industries that employ them. And the MLB announced the return of baseball in July, but will fans be allowed in the stands? The answer, just minutes away.
Cronkite News starts now.
We begin with breaking news. Good evening, I'm Abigail Verwick. Governor Doug Ducey just held a news conference urging Arizonans to stay at home if they can. He said our state is getting hit hard with COVID-19, and it's only just the first wave of the virus. Today, Arizona reported 3,056 additional cases of the coronavirus. That's 4 straight days that the state has had daily increases of over 3,000 cases.
If there's one takeaway from today's press conference and the message that I want to share today, it's that you are safer at home. All Arizonans are safer at home, and you can stay healthy at home. When we reopened the economy, I said, go out and get a haircut, get something to eat, and go home. I want to give that same message right now. If you don't need to go somewhere, if you don't need to go out, if you can work from home and stay home because you're safer.
Ducey also talked about holding, quote, bad actors accountable. He referenced an Old Town Scottsdale nightclub that authorities charged with a Class 1 misdemeanor after officers observed staff and patrons not wearing face masks or practicing social distancing. More bars in the area are being investigated for similar offenses. A police chief in Arizona has offered to resign after body camera footage of an in-custody death was released. The incident happened 2 months ago. Danelle Confair has the very latest.
Carlos Adrian not only lost his life, but his family lost a son, a grandson, and his daughter lost a father. As mayor and as a mother, I am deeply troubled and outraged by what happened.
Newly released body cam footage shows Tucson police officers arresting 27-year-old Carlos Ingram Lopez, who died in police custody. His grandmother had called officers for help after she witnessed erratic behavior from her grandson. Body cam footage shows officers finding Lopez naked and screaming. According to a police report, the officers administered 2 doses of Narcan and cuffed him, later covering him with a blanket while he was still laying face down. Those 3 officers have since resigned. During Tuesday's press conference, Tucson Police Chief Chris Magnus telling us had they not resigned, they would have been fired.
It is, however, important to note that there is no indication of malicious intent, nor did any of the officers deploy strikes, use chokeholds, or place a knee on Mr. Ingram Lopez's neck.
Then, making a gesture of his own.
To demonstrate my willingness to take accountability for these mistakes, I am offering my resignation to the mayor, city council, and city manager, which they can accept or handle as they deem appropriate.
We asked Mayor Romero if she'd accept his resignation. She said she'd think on it.
I didn't know that he was going to offer his resignation. I remain the right to think about what he's presented to the public and mayor and council today.
Mayor Regina Romero went on to say she plans to propose some reforms to the police department. Yesterday, Arizona Senate and House Democrats called for a special session to forward policy proposals regarding the coronavirus pandemic and police reform. In a press release, they said, quote, "We can't keep waiting for our governor to take action. As elected leaders, it is our duty to look out for and protect the people of Arizona. This is especially critical as we navigate the COVID-19 pandemic that is only getting worse," end quote. Public health experts are also concerned about the latest numbers.
One of the things that we are seeing is that the average age of diagnosis is moving. Over the last couple of weeks, it's moved from it had been in the 50-year-old range, and now it's about 38 years old. So what we see is a lot of this spread is happening among folks that are in their 20s and 30s.
The Democratic Party is proposing Governor Doug Ducey use coronavirus relief aid money to increase unemployment benefits and help those facing evictions and families who need childcare assistance. The party is also calling for increased funding for education, medical workers, and medical facilities. This comes after Ducey announced $850 million would be given to schools to help them reopen this coming school year. The Democratic lawmakers also want the governor to make sure law enforcement personnel is trained on cultural sensitivity and de-escalation tactics, as well as being required to wear cameras that have the capacity to record audio as well as video. We've now learned dozens of Secret Service agents will be quarantined following President Trump's rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, before coming to Arizona. That's according to a law enforcement official who described the quarantine as a precaution. According to firefighters, Saturday's rally packed a little over 6,000 people into an arena, but face masks and social distancing were not required. It was the same type of scenario at his rally in Phoenix this week. Now, 8 Trump staffers who helped set up the Tulsa event have tested positive for the virus, and so did 2 Secret Service agents, according to a person familiar with the matter. Now, many people, including former National Security Advisor John Bolton, are wondering if these campaign rallies are too risky.
Look, I think the American people are chafing under the restrictions, but I think at the same time they're afraid if they don't follow the restrictions, the pandemic will break out again. It's incomprehensible to me that the president would risk having the rally he held in Tulsa or in Arizona. This is endangering people, and there's no need for it. I think you need strong, stable, persistent leadership at a time like this, and I don't think that's what we're seeing.
The president has also said he will not abide by New Jersey's quarantine mandate during his upcoming trip. New tonight, the Trump administration signed a new executive order denying green cards to some immigrants, impacting primarily high-skilled workers coming to the U.S. In this new executive order, the White House is suspending several types of visas, dealing a major blow to thousands of immigrants and the industries that employ them.
American business relies on, looking for the best and the brightest, no matter where they are, and having them come here. And so I think the American economy is going to suffer. I think American businesses will suffer.
This order restricts job access for skilled workers that fall under the H-1B, H-2B, J-1, and L-1 visas. Immigrants potentially affected include highly skilled tech workers and managers, as well as foreign au pairs who typically are employed in childcare. Trump's administration explains the visa ban is intended to help unemployed American workers impacted by the coronavirus, giving them the opportunity to apply first for these kinds of jobs. However, not all foreign immigrants have been included in this new order.
America needs workers, and you can tell because one of the exempt groups was farm workers. They're still allowed to come and pick the crops so that there's food on our tables, and they're allowed to come to work.
Several Republican Arizona lawmakers expressed their support for the president's order, including Congressman Andy Biggs, who said on Twitter, "Thank you, Donald Trump, for putting American workers first." Congressman Paul Gosar also agreeing with the president, writing, "This took teamwork and sustained pressure. We are not done, just starting. Halt all immigration now until all 44 million unemployed have jobs." The order is already in effect and will remain in place at least for the remainder of 2020. For some immigration experts, the ruling ultimately will do more harm than good.
And I am vastly opposed to the thinking that kind of goes into this kind of proclamation, legislation, because I think it denies who we are. And I think it, to some great degree, based on his rhetoric, it denies the humanity in the other, which for me is appalling and very much infuriating.
The Migration Policy Institute estimates some 167,000 temporary workers will be kept out of the United States as a result of these new restrictions. Right now, veteran voices are speaking volumes, calling on Governor Doug Ducey to remove a monument outside the Capitol that pays tribute to Confederate soldiers. Yesterday, members of the Vets Ford gathered around the statue inside Wesley Bowen Plaza to express their frustrations. The group says they're tired of elected officials using them as props, so they intend to send the signatures in a letter to Ducey early next week as a call to action. The veterans are also asking the governor to hold a legislative session addressing law enforcement reform in Arizona. Now, for a look at your top 3 trending sports stories today. First, LeBron James is taking his gameplay from the court to the meeting room. James and business partner Maverick Carter raised $100 million to expand Spring Hill Co. Media Company. The media company's goal is to give a voice to creators and consumers who've been pandered to, ignored, or underserved. Spring Hill Entertainment is behind shows like the NBC game show The Wall and Space Jams, a new legacy starring James. The dynamic duo called the company a house of brands and said they want to give people of color creative control that's long eluded them. Second, Grand Canyon University announced the team is quarantining after 6 positive COVID-19 cases. GCU men's basketball returned to the court for voluntary works this week. 4 players and 2 student staffers tested positive. The team is now quarantining in residence halls and the staff members are quarantining at home. The school sanitized all areas used by the team. And our third trending sports story today. Fans will have to watch the Diamondbacks hit home runs from the comfort of their couch. D-backs owner Ken Kendrick announced he does not expect fans to be in attendance at home games this season. He says the organization is prioritizing player and fan safety over profit. With Arizona's COVID-19 cases hitting record-setting highs, the D-backs are monitoring the government's health and safety protocols to determine if fans can make a comeback later this season. Right now, the MLB season is slated to return on July 23rd or the 24th with a 60-game schedule. Kendrick said there could be a possibility of welcoming fans back to the ballgame in August. Finally, tonight we take you from the ball field to the NASA launch pad. Mary W. Jackson was the first African-American female engineer at NASA. Now, NASA's headquarters in Washington, D.C. will bear her name. Jackson was a mathematician and aerospace engineer who was part of a group of women who helped NASA succeed in getting American astronauts into space. She died in 2005 at the age of 83. Remember the movie Hidden Figures? It was about them. Yesterday, the NASA administrator said they will be hidden no more. And he described Jackson as a woman who never accepted the status quo. She helped break barriers and open opportunities for African Americans and women in the field of engineering and technology. That's it for this edition of Cronkite News. For Arizona news updates throughout the day, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.